Greetings, Series 3 test takers. This is Dean Tenney. I'm coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. I'm coming to you in March of 2022. The channel has been up and running for about 14 months now, and we have over 330,000 views, closing in on 5,000 subscribers. And what I'm doing is opening up additional playlists on the channel for some exams now that we've got some of the other playlists for SIE built out, 7 built out, 65, 66 almost built out. So time to add the Series 3. I'm excited about adding some content to the Series 3 playlist. It was always one of my favorite things to teach. And I had the honor and privilege of teaching the Series 3 to portfolio managers at BlackRock and T. Rowe Price and major agricultural companies like ADM and Cargill, and doing open enrollment Series 3s. Don't know if those will ever come back again, but those were always fun. Half the class are hedgers. They actually have, soybeans or, wheat or whatever the case may be. And they show up in pickup trucks and, overalls and lunch boxes and cowboy boots and, are trying to lay off risk. They're hedgers. And the other half of the class are the speculators. They show up in Carreras and pinky rings and gold chains and Armani suits and want to know where the most expensive place to have lunch is. And, sit on opposite sides of the class. They need each other, but, oh well, right? So always fun. So who knows? Maybe we'll get to do that again. We always start the playlist with an introduction to the exam itself, just so you know the dragon that needs to be slayed. I would suggest you print out the entire test specifications, and at some point I'll explicate them. Our first content is probably going to be here in the near future, dual use content. I've had people taking 65, 66, and they've got a couple of really basic futures questions. So first content is probably going to be a basic introduction to the futures markets. Anyways, as you can see here, you have 120 multiple choice questions on trading theory, terminology, basic functions and hedging. People are coming to the markets to lay off risk. A margin is a little bit different in futures than it is in terms of what you may be familiar with in terms of stocks. We're going to talk about types of orders. There are types of orders in Series 3 that don't exist in Series 7, for example. Market if touch, that kind of thing. Kind of reverse stop order kind of stuff. Technical analysis is big time. You need to be able to determine a weakening and strengthening basis and how that affects profit or loss. That's important. Spreading, remember, is the difference between two futures positions. So that's what the word spreading means. That's on the exam. And we said there's speculation and there's hedging. There's also options on futures. And the options on futures are very familiar, should be familiar if you're familiar with options on stocks. In fact, the futures markets had options before the stock market did. And a lot of the option strategies actually come from the futures markets. Anyways, that's 85 questions, 71% of your exam. And kind of odd, you need to get 70% on both part 1 and part 2, which is the regulatory framework, 35 questions. It's been my experience that very rarely does anybody not pass the regulatory framework. So that's a lot of aim and shoot, point and click stuff. Maybe you're not going to need to spend as much time there, but that's what that is. You have 2.5 hours to complete. So you shouldn't have any kind of a time constraint. There should be plenty of time for you to get this done on the time allocated. And the way to make sure you don't have a time constraint is to make sure you do your practice exams. It's just aggravating when people don't have a time constraint on the actual exam, because that's just kind of evidence that they didn't set the clock and do the practice exam in a way that should be done like the real exam. So anyways, looking forward to building out this playlist like we have the others on the channel. Give me any comments you want, any lecture requests. We accept lecture requests. If you have something you'd like me to do first in terms of the Series 3 playlist or put it at the front of the queue, just let me know and I'm happy to do so. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.